Are you looking to start a software engineering career, but you might be worried that the AI, these new reasoning models, can take over those opportunities? Well, it turns out that we still need humans to do these jobs. You still need a human to instruct the AI and pull things together. It's good news. There's still a lot of room, and I would say even growth opportunity, not only for more software engineers in the future, but specialized software engineers. You need to do a lot of things to be a good software engineer. To start your software engineering career, you need to do a few things. It's not a lot of things. Well, actually, no, it is kind of a lot. Though at the same time, really, you just need to learn how to code. And the big aspect of it is education. You want to either self-teach yourself or you want to go through a degree. I do like the approach of self-learning. That you can go to Coursera, Udemy, Khan Academy. You can also use YouTube. And those are great initial learning foundations. When you're starting a software engineering path and you want to become a software developer, you got to learn a software engineering language. That's usually what we have to do. You have to learn something like C++, Java, Ruby, Python, PHP, Go, JavaScript. These are the two popular ones, I would say. These days are Python and JavaScript. You also have languages like Rust, which are really powerful newcomers in the language. There's a lot of practice that you need to do. It's sort of like with LeetCode or HackerRank and CodeSignal that you can use to practice and solve coding problems and challenges that you'd come kind of close to when you're faced in traditional development environments. Say, for example, you have a job and you have to fulfill a specific, you have to solve a problem. Well, you might need to use some of the skills that you learned on LeetCode and HackerRank and CodeSignal. They will give you sort of the foundations on some of the common algorithms and patterns. When you're starting your software engineering path, in the world of software developers, you have to do a few things to understand some core concepts that are involved in all kinds of disciplines of software engineering. Data structures and algorithms are essential for solving problems. And in technical interviews, typically, when you're problem solving in a technical interview, you're just sort of learning to collaborate with the other person. They don't necessarily need to solve the problem, although it helps a lot if you can. So that's a big thing. Often in this world, you want to learn version control, which allows you to write code, make changes, save those changes, write more code, save those changes, and then you can revert and go backwards. And that's what Git and GitHub is for, of managing code and collaborating with others in projects. Also, software development life cycles, where you greenfield a project all the way to developing and gathering requirements and then sunsetting the product to where it is end of life. Building projects is a really big step in moving forward in your software development career. If you haven't built a project yet, that's probably you kind of have to. It's really the only approach that you will actually get your hands on and learn. This is the best way to learn. Also, yes, it's going to be probably a little frustrating. I know it was for me. It was just continuous turmoil. It was a big challenge, and you really need to find something to build and work on. And this is your personal project to create a personal website or a game to increase the complexity as you get more comfortable. And then you want to open source your projects as well to contribute to open source communities. Is also another option. You can find an open source project and make some changes or help fill in some of the gaps of the product features that are needed. It's a great way to apply what you've learned and gain experience, and it helps you build your portfolio as well. In software engineering, as you're building your career path and moving forward, you'll want to specialize. This is a critical step because it allows you to really probably grow your salary a lot more. When you specialize, you have specific skills that are specific to solving special problems. Like you could be an AI engineer, you can be a front-end developer, a back-end developer for an API service provider. You can go into cloud computing or DevOps, where you sort of control the management of applications that are running in the infrastructure that require specific talents in order to do that, because there's automation, CI/CD, there's deployment, there's upgrades, there's monitoring and alerting. There's a tons of things that you have to do there. Also, this will sort of guide you when you want to take specializations for your you don't have to get certifications, though you want to just gain more knowledge about that specialization, building games and those types of things. One of my favorite ways to gain experience is to do freelancing. I would say freelancing is my favorite approach because it allows you to put yourself out there. You can there's a lot of there's Upwork and other kinds of Upwork style websites where you can post your profile. And it even mentions that Upwork and Fiverr can provide opportunities to work on small projects to build your portfolio and your skills. skills. It's a good way to get started. You can also apply for internships, and those work as well, though they're less interesting and less readily available. Freelancing is a little bit a better opportunity if you want to go down that path. And this is a way to gain experience early on in your career. You can also be social when you're starting your software engineering career by joining communities and collaborating with others. And essentially, this is the networking process. A lot of times, this you don't necessarily need to do this step, though it is kind of common practice these days, where you'll join on Stack Overflow, Reddit, and GitHub have communities where you can connect with other developers. This helps you learn what's new, what's happening. Here's the big reason you want to do this, because things change every single day. There's new things, and usually these communities are at the forefront, and you'll be able to maintain that level of being on top of things in the industry. You can also jump into hackathons and competitions and participate there, and this is great because if you're having trouble with freelancing opportunities, hackathons are just open. And they usually have money prizes, and if you do good enough, you could win. Now we're down to step 8 in building your software engineering career. You can get started by learning a whole bunch of things, practicing, joining communities, and freelancing, hackathons. Now that you've done those things, you want to prepare. You want to prepare for job applications. Build a portfolio showcasing all the contributions and freelance work at your website on your GitHub profile, and craft a resume with relevant skills, internships, and the experiences, including your hackathons. Apply to job searches, listings. You want to just apply everywhere. Just apply to absolutely everything that you can, and the rate of acceptance is very low, so it means that it's a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. So hundreds of job applications are required. Don't underestimate the power of networking with personal connections on LinkedIn, for example, where you can connect to others and they can help connect you with opportunities. And you want to prepare for your interview as well. Technical interviews, brush up on data structure, algorithms, and coding problems. And those are commonly used in tests. And then you want to discuss your projects and experiences with others. One of the biggest challenges as a software developer is you have to stay up to date with absolutely everything. There's so much stuff that's changing on these days. What you have to do is keep learning, and there's ways to stay up to date. Follow tech blogs, attend webinars, take courses. It's to stay current with the industry trends, because every single day something's new. You want to continuously improve your skills by learning new languages like software engineering, like C, Python, PHP, JavaScript, Rust, Golang, and tools and other frameworks. Here are some good code recommendations, some books. So you got Clean Code, you got The Pragmatic Programmer, Introductions to Algorithms. Those are good beginnings. If you really want to jump into software engineering and you want to just dabble a bit, but you're not fully ready, these are kind of okay ways to sort of get an introduction to understanding what software engineering is. And you want to continue with online courses as much as possible, so that way you keep, for example, Python for Everybody and Coursera is a pretty good one. You might find it's going to be very hard to start as a software developer, especially today as rapid changes are continuously going. By the time you learn something, you're already out of date. There's something new. And that is a big challenge. It really is. It's tough. And so you want to just be resilient to the tech world changes and make sure just to do your best. Everyone is already trying to do that too, and it's just tough, and it will be tough. And that's why it's rewarding, because there's a lot of career specialties and opportunities, and that's why the salaries are pretty high. Even with the AIs today, the AIs are going to do a lot of the automation of writing code for us. They are getting better and better, especially with these chain of thought models. They are going to replace some of the job, though you still have to piece together everything. You still have to be the software engineer to collect the details, pull together the code needed, and then combine it all together into a big project. So make sure to teach yourself as much as possible. Now you get to pick your career specialty. You probably have a foundation of programming knowledge. At some certain point, you need to choose a specialty, because if you don't, you're going to be a general purpose developer and you won't get paid as much. You'll have a lower salary. If you have a specialty, you have a higher chance of getting a higher salary. So with the front-end engineer, you focus on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and frameworks like React.js, Angular, and Vue. You get a $65K to $120K annually from kind of the starter range, and then you get a mid-level experience. You can go over $100K pretty easily. With a back-end engineer, you're going to need server-side logic, databases, applications, CI/CD. A lot of skills are required there as well. Programming languages like Python, Java, Ruby, Node.js. These are really common, popular ones. And frameworks like Django, Spring, and Express. and the salaries tend to be a little bit higher because the stakes are higher. On the back end, you can have a system that goes down and causes issues. So we have the front-end developer and the back-end developer. There's also a full-stack developer where you're both at the same time. You've got the skills of the front-end developer where you can build beautiful UIs that are easy and clean and fast with CSS, HTML, and React. And then on the back end, you'll need to combine your back-end skills with your Node.js, your databases, your Django's, your Springs, your Expresses, a lot of things. Next.js is in there as well with Vercel. This is a full stack developer that is a pretty, it's a lot more involved because that means that you have to learn both specialties. Though at the end of the day, you will see just a slightly higher salary in general because you are taking on both those responsibilities. And you'll see those job opportunities more in startups or in special cases. So it's good to maybe try to strive for that as well. Though if you want to keep it simple, use front end or back end specifically. You can also be a mobile developer where you work on iOS apps and Android apps where you use Objective-C, Swift, or Java and Kotlin on Android. These are really good skills, and you generally kind of have a slightly higher pay as well because they are very specialized skills. And the target is huge. The target audience is huge. That's why when you're building with languages like these, you also need to consider cross-platform development where you compile and build for both Android and iOS at the same time. Flutter and React Native are two options there. So this is a lot to learn to be a mobile developer, though you do get a pretty decent salary range. A DevOps engineer is going to be able to focus on all the DevOps things. You're essentially managing the infrastructure that's running the code of all the backend developers' projects and apps and services, which means that you are responsible to make sure that the infrastructure that you provide to those teams, the software development teams, is stable, it's up, and you can support them. At PubNub, we call this the developer happiness team. Well, that's at least what I call it. And they help the developers be successful deploying and operating their software. So you need to be familiar with continuous integration, CI/CD, and continuous delivery is what the CD stands for. Cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Docker and Kubernetes for containers and runtimes, automation systems like Jenkins and Ansible for deploying software to servers, and then you'll see salary ranges between 80K and 160K. So that's actually pretty good. Data science and analytics. This is a very big specialty where you will learn to use data systems. Now, this is there's a lot to it, and you can build a lot of value. These types of engineers have a very specialized skill in learning to use SQL and R and statistical languages and DSLs. You would also maybe use TensorFlow, Scikit, and PyTorch, visualization tools like Tableau and Power BI. This is a pretty tough job as well, and it does have higher salaries because they're more sought after from a business perspective because they provide a lot of value to the business. You're providing specific insights to the business that no one else in the company can really offer. And so a lot of teams will depend on you, and this is a big responsibility, and you need to make sure you get your data right. Are the numbers going in the right direction? Why are the numbers doing that? And this is what the data science is for. So if you want to be a game developer, you want to learn things like C++, C#, Unity, Unreal, 3D modeling, animation. There's a lot of things there. As a game developer, pretty decent salary. Security engineer, you want to focus on cryptography, network security, security protocols, pen testing, Wireshark, and Metasploit. These are tools that you would use as a security engineer. AI and ML engineer, this is a big one. The modern day engineer is going to need, almost everyone's going to need these skills. Though good news is this is a very sought after specialty. TensorFlow, Keras, Scikit, PyTorch, these are neural network algorithms for AI and deep learning. These are big deals. Cloud engineer, where you learn specifically just focusing on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. You want Terraform, CloudFormation. Those are the kinds of knowledge that you seek. And a QA engineer, you'd want to learn Selenium, JUnit, unit tests, and you can test quality of the software. You can also be a systems architect, where you focus on high-level design and architecture of software systems. This is, you need to optimize for performance, for scale, global distribution. How do systems connect? Where are the bottlenecks, the problems, and challenges? You can also focus on Internet of Things, where you program embedded devices, and you need to learn MQTT protocols, microcontrollers, software and hardware integration. This is a pretty big specialty all on its own. Pretty decent salary there as well. And then blockchain developer, a little less popular these days, because we're, you still, though, if you wanted to go the blockchain route, you learn Ethereum and Hyperledger and Solidity and cryptography, lots of different things there. You could also be a technical lead and manager, which is typically the next level, where you kind of didn't learn enough on the coding side of things, but you still understand how systems work. And you don't necessarily want to go deeper on coding, though you do have skills in product management, technical expertise, and communication skills. This is great for that next level.